On May 16th, 2025, a violently rotating mesocyclone put down a tornado near a small town of Carbondale, Illinois. The tornado had something inside of it that we could not even understand because this tornado packed a punch. However, that punch needed to be trained to, or trained for, as I should say. The circulation was developing fastly, and within 25 seconds, it rapidly touched the ground and only became a swirling dust circulation until 2 minutes after it fully formed into a giant dusty stovepipe. The tornado was very violent, and this was due to a moderate risk that was in place for down south. Then, this footage is oddly terrifying near southeast Illinois because a local was recording the tornado as it was passing by. This tornado was just a disaster just waiting to happen, and that was already going to happen, or is going to. The tornado was persisting onwards and had a more interesting track than usual. It changed directions at least 2 different times. And when it did, it thankfully dodged many structures. Here is the formation and start of the tornado. And clearly, it was unusual because the rotation was so fast, but yet so violent, that the motion was not deviant anymore. It was extreme. The winds were even higher than expected, but it started at light EF1 intensity. Then, the tornado began to take on a multi-vortex shape. The structure was inevitably insane. And what could have happened if this tornado didn't touch down? Well, the disaster that caused the tornado to happen was also a result of a very costly and destructive St. Louis EF3. The tornado touched down in rural farmlands at 6:05 p.m. local time. The tornado persisted onwards and kept on trudging. The circulation kept gaining power and power. Every few seconds that went by, something ominous was going to happen. The large dusty cone was traveling over the open fields, and it kept on changing its appearance every now and then. The circulation was very strong, and the damage was as well. It was mostly consistent with the EF1 to EF3 DIs. So with some trees being snapped or uprooted, homes lost roofs and or windows, and everything that once lived there, or specifically thing that once remained, was no more. Entire forests were leveled, and many homes were swept away. However, the reason this tornado did not get the EF5 rating was because it was suspected that the homes that were swept away were of poor quality construction. However, we can't exactly prove that, as there was missing anchor bolts in some of the homes. And some of the foundations were severely damaged, along with many other structures and or cars. The tornado was gaining strength, becoming very violent, and the forward motion was at least 80 miles an hour, or that's an overestimate. To make things even worse, the tornado was at least moving at 70 miles an hour. The speed of its rotation was just insane, but the destruction was yet to intensify. The dusty cone kept on trudging until the circulation decided, why not reach EF4 intensity, because we can.
Wall cloud.
Well, that's exactly what happened, because within just a few seconds it gained the violent intensity that it was supposed to a few minutes ago. And the tornado was gaining extreme strength. And even though the destruction was complete, thankfully nobody was killed in this tornado, but 7 people were seriously injured. And in this drone footage of the damage on May 17th, you could just see all the homes that were swept away. Everything is gone practically. Homes obliterated and lives shattered. It may seem like everything is gone in town, but Marion's spirit was not. And the days that took this tornado's cleanup to come to an end was almost nearing months. However, there's some things that you just can't fix because the damage was just simply incredible, and many structures did not survive the extreme winds, including some large buildings that were partially swept away. So many outbuildings and or trees just vanished, and the debris was strewn into nearby lakes or fields. Windrowing also occurred in some spots, and some ground scouring occurred as well. As we review this footage, we can note that the fact that the tornado had unbearably violent strength, and maybe it wasn't perfect, but at least it was something that they can remember forever. Their spirit was just insane, because everybody was helping to clean up, including residents from Creal Springs and Carbondale. At this point in time, there's nothing anyone could do to stop the powerful circulation from destroying their entire town. Because while many things were messed up, there are some things that weren't. Because while this tornado was incredible, the damage was as well. There's just many large pockets of trees that were downed. Power lines were also taken down in the process as well. And many cars were either thrown or mangled because the winds were just insurmountable. And the damage that it caused, we all know that it was just beyond our capability. And the damage and or the lives that were hurt were obviously something to worry about. This tornado also caused a tornado emergency to be issued for a town, stating large and violent tornadoes on the ground heading towards that city, and whoever is in the path needed to take immediate shelter. This tornado also caused millions of dollars in damage. And if there's anything we know about tornadoes, is that they will not stop for anyone. And maybe we can't just expect tornadoes to stop at some point. But one thing we can expect is that the damage will not stop. Neither will we. So, what was left to be seen? Well, the insurmountable damage. Literally everything was gone. There was not one trace of the happy town that once remained, because nearly every structure was gone, sandblasted. Trees were sandpaper and or splintered, down to bare stubs as well.
On Friday, May 16, 2025, at 6:05 p.m., Williamson County Sheriff's Office, deputies in Illinois responded to significant tornado damage south of Marion. The damage from the storm.
This tornado was a very strong multi-vortex EF4, and many goes to say this was the strongest tornado of the year, but that was obviously not true, as we have the Enderlin EF5, which was only 2 months after this event. This was clearly a dangerous tornado, and like all bad things, they all had to come to an end at some point. And after being on the ground for almost 40 minutes, the circulation finally dies off near Creal Springs, Illinois, and the damage was just unbelievable. Basically, everything was gone. The lives were destroyed. The town was gone. But if there's one thing we do know, this tornado was so violent that no one could predict that. And even though it was warned properly, that doesn't mean that there is more to come. Because just a day before, an extremely deadly EF4 tornado struck the small city of London, Kentucky, Somerset, Kentucky, and Whittle. Many towns were destroyed, but the spirit of Marion, Illinois wasn't.